Hi all, and welcome back. Hopefully, you found the work that we were doing on SEO and the introduction to that part of sort of a bit more organic marketing with SEO. I hope you found that helpful, and we'll go into a little bit more around organic marketing, essentially through social media, as we get towards the end of this part of the course on digital marketing. For now, I want to turn our attention a bit more to what we call inorganic marketing. So remember, again, organic, think free; inorganic, think paid. So I'll share my screen and we'll dive straight into a little bit of inorganic marketing. Again, this is a huge world. There are lots of experts out there, and once you get to the right time, you can look to outsource this. But I think that the real important part that we want to take away from today is that SEO is all around how can we start to put content out there such that our audience is building trust with us, is interested in what we have to say and what we're writing and putting online and the videos that we're putting on, and making sure our website is looking spick and span. But how can we really rank higher on Google? And I think that I'm hoping that one of the questions that might have come into your mind as I was going through that, saying, look, it does take time, and actually you might not be on that first page of Google when people are looking for certain keywords right at the beginning of your journey. Hopefully a few questions are coming into your mind saying, well, what if I want to? What if I want to come and be there at the top of Google on day one or day two or in the first week? How can I do that? And one of the ways that you can do that is through inorganic marketing. And that means that we're actually paying to be at the top of Google. So I'm pretty sure that if you probably know already, but type anything into Google now and have a look at the top 4 results that come up. And I bet they say ad. Now, what that means is that somebody has paid for their website to come up first when people search for that particular word. And the way that Google AdWords works, for example, this is one of the main forms of inorganic marketing, is essentially using the strategy of pay per click. So it essentially works as an auction basis. So within Google AdWords, and you can have a look at how it actually works. I've put links in here to videos that will allow you to understand how pay-per-click works and how essentially this part of search engine marketing works. But actually on a high level, the way that it works is that it works as an auction process. So you might have a certain number of keywords or phrases that you have in there, and you will bet a certain amount of money on each word or phrase. And if somebody types that in and you come up first, second, third, or fourth, or essentially you have an ad on it and somebody clicks on it, you will then be charged however much you bet on that word. Now, if there are 4 ads that come up at the beginning, how do you know who comes first, second, third, and fourth? Again, think about the auction process, but you don't know how much somebody else is betting on that particular word or that particular phrase. So it's a very, very clever business model from Google. But actually what we're looking at doing is trying to make sure that we choose how much we want to bet for a particular word. Now, don't worry, there are limits that you can put on, such that, for example, you can only spend £10 per day, right? So unless somebody clicks through to that 10 and it would get to £10, then you will stop being advertised through your inorganic marketing play. So it's not, there are ways, unfortunately, that if you don't click it, you could end up spending a heck of a lot, but there are mechanisms to stop you going over certain budgets. So that means that you can have a budget for the month that you want to be spending, and you can then there's a whole host of analytics, and analytics in marketing is something we'll come on to next. There's a whole host of analytics that focuses on how we can optimize our Google AdWords. Again, you can look to outsource that later, you can work with experts later, but getting the basics and understanding what it actually is and how it helps is really, really important. So essentially the main point that I want you to take away from today when it comes to inorganic marketing, and specifically here with Google AdWords, is saying we can actually bet money. We can put it in an auction process, put money on particular words, such that when people in a certain demographic, in a certain area, in a certain geographic region, so it can be really, really specific, when we're actually building out these campaigns, we can actually run a campaign and try to make sure that actually we're coming up first, second, third, or fourth in that Google search already. The first one after that will be the top SEO choice. So that will be the top one that's done essentially organically. So due to SEO, they've come up, they've ranked highest on Google, but they will always come up 4th or 5th, depending on how many ad links there are. So pay-per-click does what it says on the tin. If somebody clicks on it, then you are charged for it and you pay Google. The idea is that enough people clicking on your website will then go through to either inquiries or using your service, or indeed paying for your product or service, which is the main goal of what you want to do when you're driving people towards your website. So hopefully that makes sense. And there are I've put some links in here around how you actually build an AdWords campaign and an introduction to Google AdWords and what it actually is. I've deliberately focused this inorganic marketing session on Google AdWords. Inorganic marketing exists in a whole host of areas, a whole host of places, most notably within social media. So think about all those Facebook ads and Instagram ads that are or LinkedIn ads, any sort of social media ads that keep popping up that you see sponsored. They have been paid for, and therefore they come under that umbrella of inorganic marketing, that sort of digital advertising that we've all coming to know now. So what's really important from a startup perspective, right? You're an entrepreneur, you want to build your business. Where do you go next? Why is this particularly important? So if you are an entrepreneur, or if you are a startup that's looking to actually use Google AdWords, what are the key points that you need to bear in mind? So when we're putting in the those phrases or those keywords, the more vague we are, i.e., we're not very, very specific with the wording that we're putting there, then the more that you're going to have to put on an ad spend in order to come higher. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say that we're selling running trainers. If we just bet on the word trainers, then you're against Nike, Adidas, Puma, Slazenger, New Balance, all of these people who make all of these companies, massive, huge companies that offer trainers as part of their offering. But how specific can you go? Running trainers for hill walkers in South London, for example. Anything where we're being really, really specific. Now, perhaps someone wouldn't search that specific, but the more specific we can get means that actually we don't have to bet as much on that. And if somebody does search for that, then hopefully we're going to be those first ones coming up there, because it's so specific. And it means that we can then, again, start to really, really target our audience. And you can get, again, as mentioned before, now, look, we're paying for it. So what are the important other elements and services that Google offers? Well, we can be much more targeted on the areas that we're focusing on, or the demographics that we're on. Remember, Google has collected so much data on us that as an entrepreneur, now let's try and leverage that and make sure that we can get in front of our target audience and our target market. So if you are interested in the more inorganic side of marketing, definitely have a look at how Google AdWords works. Understand here how you actually build a campaign, and then within that you can start to generate reports, and those reports can tell you what's worked well, what hasn't worked that well, and you can then use that to your advantage, i.e. take that feedback, and remember, again, from the lean startup, that feedback loop, right? Build, measure, learn. So you might build a campaign, measure it, see how it's actually worked over this past week, 2 weeks, learn from that, what's worked well, what hasn't worked well. Now start again, build another campaign and see if you can start to optimize that process. So again, we're taking stuff that we've done right at the beginning of the course, trying to now implement this now into this digital marketing part of us now trying to actually scale our business a little bit more and find more leads, more contacts, more people who might potentially be interested in our product or service. So that's a very, very quick whistle-stop tour of inorganic marketing. Please use the embedded links here to your advantage. They link to some of the most amazing experts that I've listened to, and those are the ones where you're really, really going to learn from, and that's the important element of this. So make sure that as a startup, as an entrepreneur, if you are going to go through this, make sure, number one, you're willing to lose some money at the beginning, because it's very, very difficult to do. But then once you start to nail it, you can then start to scale a lot more from that. But let's make sure that we're being really, really specific, because you haven't got, let's face it, you haven't got lots and lots of capital that you can deploy just into your marketing. You've got lots of other priorities and adjacencies that you need to make sure that you're focusing on. If you are interested, though, I've put some more links here that you can go have a look at. Specifically, have a read around this one, PPC on a budget. It's really, really important that we understand that actually we haven't got millions to be investing into our marketing budget. So how do you choose what we actually, where to spend your time and what you're actually going to focus on? But this is where analytics starts to become a lot more important. Marketing now is becoming a lot more quantitative, a lot more analytics driven. Doesn't mean that you need to be quantitative, and we'll go into that in the next video. But essentially, making sure that you can generate the right reports that give you the right insight as to how your campaigns are doing is going to be really critical. So when you essentially make your next decisions as you start to move forward. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that makes sense as to why inorganic marketing is useful. And you can see now, actually, whilst SEO helps you remain on top, SEM or inorganic marketing here, where we're actually paying Google AdWords, for example, can drive us right to the top of Google within a matter of days. So that is the other option that you have should you wish to take it. So next part of the course, we'll be diving a little bit more into the analytics of marketing and how we use that. So looking forward to seeing you on the next one.